Eleanor Neale is a British true crime YouTuber that was loved by her community. However, due to her announcement that she's bringing her true crime podcast to the stage, opinions have started to shift, as people have started saying that turning tragedies into a night of fun and surprises is disrespectful to the victims impacted by these horrific crimes. Hello, my name is Rapman Miles, and if you're new here, welcome. Make yourself comfortable, we have a lot to discuss today. And of course, if you're coming back, thank you, but still sit tight. Today we are talking about true crime YouTuber Eleanor Neale, or should I say podcaster, since she took a break from YouTube, making regular YouTube videos to start a podcast. Still about true crime, but slightly different. We'll get onto that a bit more later. But basically, she's recently announced that she's bringing her true crime podcast on tour. I want to make it very clear before I properly get into this whole topic that this is not a video made to attack Eleanor Neale. I've actually watched her for quite a good number of years, and I enjoy her content. I always thought that she was one of the only true crime YouTubers that made an effort to be respectful towards victims and their families. So please do not send her any hate. Keep the discussions in the comment section. I want to talk about some of the positives that I liked about her content before we get into the more criticism side of this video, so I'm just gonna quickly go over that now. When talking about these tragedies, she would always go in depth into the victims' lives, achievements, personalities, and their families. And I think this really humanized the people that she was talking about in her videos. I think a lot of the time with true crime content, people are really quick to kind of forget that these were real people and real situations that really did happen. So I always appreciated her researching stuff that wasn't even directly related to the crime itself. I feel like Eleanor would always take these sensitive topics quite seriously in her videos, which I know is the bare minimum. However, there are people currently on YouTube right now that put on a full face of makeup while talking about someone getting murdered in the most horrific way imaginable.
Kidnapping, raping, torturing, killing, and cannibalizing more than 100 different women.
One more thing I'd like to highlight, since she's come back to YouTube and she started her podcast, she makes an effort to shout out some kind of charity that makes sense with the topic that she's talking about. So for example, if she was covering a case that revolved around domestic violence, she would shout out a charity that helps victims of domestic violence, which I always thought was really thoughtful of her, actually. Now that I've talked about all the positives, I do want to get into the criticism surrounding Eleanor Neale. So this situation isn't actually the first time that Eleanor has been in hot water. Since she's come back from her break, her videos lacked that serious tone that they had before. Instead, this podcast episode was a lot more laid back and chit-chatty.
I just love going on tangents. Man, have I missed this. Just chewing your ear off about anything I want to in the middle of a true crime case. They were definitely close friends. It's just the vagueness about the nature of their relationship. Were they f***ing? I don't know.
Which makes sense since it's a podcast, so it's supposed to be less scripted. However, obviously discussing quite serious matters, it should be serious and well thought out. However, following this video, her fans are quick to point out this change in tone and how they did not appreciate it at all, and how they found it disrespectful. And following this video, in her next podcast, she addressed this and said that she would be changing and apologized for the way that she handled the case that she talked about in the previous episode.
I have read the comments on the last episode, and I appreciate the feedback that some of you guys think that the new style was a little too chatty. Look, I hear you, and hopefully this episode will be a much better vibe match.
And after this, even though her videos remained more laid back still and less scripted, I do think that the tone improved and became more serious. This brings us to today, where Eleanor Neale is once again facing backlash due to her announcing that she's going on tour. I'll let you watch her official announcement that she's posted on TikTok, and then we'll talk about what I think and what I've seen other people say.
Breaking news, guys. I have a big announcement. After analysing true crime cases on the internet together for years, me and you are finally going to get the chance to do this together in real life, because Outlaw with Eleanor Neale is hitting the stage. We're going on tour, baby! 2026 will be our first chance to catch Outlaw live, where together we're going to analyse criminal cases, look through evidence, debate suspects. It's what we do best around here, and I can't wait to do it all with you in person. So I can't reveal everything we have in store just yet, but just know we have an incredible show planned with fun moments and surprises that you won't see coming.
In general, the tone of this announcement is very cheerful, which in a way makes sense because obviously going on tour is a massive achievement. The fact that you can create a show that hundreds of people, I don't know how big the venues are, but let's just say hundreds or thousands of people will want to attend is quite a big deal. However, because the subject matter is so serious and so devastating, it is a little bit weird that it's very high energy, like, guys, come on tour, let's watch me talk about people that died, you know, it's a little bit out of place. I definitely think her describing that her tour is gonna have fun moments and surprises definitely robbed people the wrong way, and honestly, it robbed me the wrong way too. I can't imagine how a show is going to stay respectful and handle their cases with care whilst they're talking about people that got horrifically murdered, while still having it be fun, lighthearted and entertaining. Like, that's just impossible, unfortunately. I also think her talking about how this show is going to include looking through evidence and comparing suspects makes it sound more like it's a fictional mystery escape room kind of event, instead of an event that's talking about really serious subject matter that happened in real life. The first time this tour was mentioned was 3 weeks ago in a Q&A that she posted to her second channel. At this point, she didn't fully know what the show was going to look like and what was going to be happening on the tour. I'm gonna let you watch the clip now and then we'll talk about it.
I will talk about the Outlaw Tour, or the Out Tour, if you will. We have officially begun talks with our touring agent about bringing the show on the road. How exciting! It's very, very, very early on in conversation right now, and I'm not 100% sure what an Outlaw Tour would look like just yet, because I don't want it to be depressing, is the only thing. But, like, the nature of what I do and the content that I make, like, what can you do about that? How can you make it not depressing whilst keeping it true to what I do? We're figuring it out, you know? If you have any ideas or requests for what you would want an Outlaw Tour to look like, please do let us know. Or if you do want it to be very, like, classic and just me, like, sat there telling a story, I fear that that is what you're gonna want. Not I fear, because I do love doing that. It is my job. But just because I wouldn't want to do a live show and have the mood be sad and somber. Oh, I love somber. What? Anyway.
What I also found quite strange is that she seemed more concerned about making this show entertaining and fun for the audience, instead of her first priority being, how do I make it so it's still respectful towards the victims and the family of the victims. Like, she didn't mention one time in her official announcement or in this short kind of teaser in the Q&A, what efforts she would be making to make sure that this stays respectful and educational. Instead, she described it more as being a fun night out, which obviously it shouldn't be. But honestly, I don't really think there is a way to make this live show respectful and handle these cases with the care that they deserve whilst making them entertaining and fun for the audience. I just don't think that can be done. I think it's either you have a professional that is, you know, on the police force, or a detective that does a live show describing how they crack these cases, and have that be, you know, purely educational, or you have a live show that's, you know, fun. Like, I don't think those two things should mix, if that makes sense. And Eleanor is not a professional investigator. I just want to put that out there as well. She's said this on multiple occasions. She just kind of relays information that she's found online about these cases. Hello, it's Miles from the future. You can tell because I'm wearing a different black hoodie than before. Somehow I forgot to mention, like, the most outrageous thing that she said in this video, which is the fact that she said that she didn't want this show to be depressing or somber. Please don't mention somber around me, man. That guy's scary. And I just think that's a bit wild. Like, I don't even know why you would want to make a show that talks about such serious stuff, like, most likely, you know, obviously, but also, it could also include stuff about, like, domestic violence or sex. And you don't want the mood to be, like, somber and depressing. Like, unfortunately, it kind of just has to be. Like, you can't have it not be, because if it's happy and cheerful, if the mood is happy and cheerful, it's just going to be inappropriate, and it's just going to be really, really insensitive. Like, I understand not wanting a live show to be upsetting or have the mood be really low, but then do a show about something else. Like, don't do a show about true crime if you don't want it to be depressing. That's 6-7. No, I can't do that. I'm sorry, I did the hand gesture and I couldn't stop myself. I'm too young to be doing that, man. I'm actually too old to be doing that. I actually completely lost my train of thought. What was I talking about? But yeah, it's one or the other, okay? Like, it's gonna be either happy, joyful live show about something else, or it's gonna be a sad live show about murder. You can't do both. You can't do both. You can't do it. You can't do it. Some commenters mentioned that instead she could have made a live show cracking fictional murder cases, so kind of like a murder mystery event, where her and the audience have to analyze evidence together and find out who the killer is. This way, obviously, it wouldn't disrespect any real people because it wouldn't be real. It wouldn't be real life. And I think this would have been fine. Like, I feel like she's charming enough. I mean, she has a second channel and people watch that second channel, so people don't purely watch her for the true crime stuff, they also watch her for her personality. So I feel like she could have very easily stuck with her brand of, like, investigations and true crime, but just take the truth part out and just do like an actual fun interactive thing that wouldn't hurt anyone in the process. I think another alternative, if she wanted to stick with the true crime aspect of it, is talk about cases where the victim survived. That way she would get the person's permission, or even have them come onto the tour with her to discuss their story and have it be almost like an interview back and forth kind of thing, where even the audience could ask the person that went through this questions about what happened. Again, this would fit with her brand, as she has covered cases where the victim became a survivor and they're still living to this day. And this is the case even as of recently, she's done a video about the horrible abuse that Marilyn Manson committed against women, most specifically his ex-girlfriend Evan Rachel Wood. And I think literally like maybe 2-3 weeks ago, I'm not 100% sure, she talked about the torture that Tina Nash endured by her ex-boyfriend, leaving her permanently blind. I don't know how difficult it would be to find people that are willing to come on this tour with her that have faced such traumatizing things, but there are a lot of people that have faced, you know, abuse and torture and attempted murder that become advocates and, you know, come on and to stages and talk about what they've experienced. So I feel like she could have found someone to participate in this. It's safe to say that most people online were not happy that this live show was happening. I have checked ticket sales and surprisingly, I think most of them are sold out, most of the shows. However, based on the response in comment sections and TikToks that other people have made, most people are not big fans of this idea. Due to outcry not only in her community, but just people that don't even watch her content, she decided to post a response video on her Instagram story.
Here, I do want to acknowledge the comments, and I just want to reassure you guys above everything else that here at Outlaw, whether it's online in the podcast episodes or in real life, these cases will always be handled with care, with respect, and with real responsibility. For this tour, the focus is on the investigation in itself. We're working closely with people who were involved in the case, we're looking at how lines of inquiry developed, we're comparing suspects where it's relevant. Above all, the intention of Outlaw is and always has been to honour victims and to raise awareness. And of course, with this tour, we're going to be partnering with incredible, crucial charities and organisations. You guys know I deeply, deeply care about the work that we do, more than I can even put into words. And I'm looking forward to having these really important discussions with you all in real life.
This response definitely feels a little bit corporate to me, and I think that's mostly because of the whole "here at Outlaw" line. Overall though, I'm sorry to say, I don't think this is a great response. She doesn't address anything that she said during her initial announcements that people found problematic. For example, describing the live shows being fun and full of surprises, or in the kind of teaser saying that she doesn't want the show to be depressing and wants it to stay lighthearted. She basically just said a bunch of words. Like, she basically just said, guys, don't worry, we'll handle the stories with care. However, she didn't actually say how she would do this. And yeah, it's amazing that she's working with charities with this tour, and that, you know, she said that she's going to be talking with professionals that were involved in the cases. I think that's great, but I think the biggest problem that people have is how she initially described this event. Like, it kind of seems like backtracking now. She's noticed people are not too happy, and she's saying, guys, no, ignore what I said before, it's gonna be actually super serious, and we're gonna have loads of professionals on it, instead of before having it more described as like a laid-back kind of chill event. I have seen a lot of people arguing the fact that this isn't any different than making a YouTube video about true crime, but I disagree with that. I think the difference is the promotion of it. I think with true crime channels that are actually respectful, I'm not talking about the people that put on a full face of glam and then talk about someone being unalived. I feel like these people don't market their content as being entertaining. It's more about the education aspect of it and raising awareness to these people and how these crimes happened and why they happened and how can we prevent them, kind of thing. Now, do I think that every true crime channel has this mindset of education instead of entertainment? Of course not. I think that's why it makes this genre so problematic and full of controversy, because there's some people that do it quite well, and then there's some people that do it horrifically wrong. Now with live shows, I feel like with live shows, it's purely entertainment. With YouTube, you can post a video with any kind of purpose. You can have it be educational, you can have it be entertaining, you can have it be thought-provoking, I don't know. But with a live show, I feel like most of the time, and especially with how she described this specific live show, it's described as being entertainment. I think her description of this event might have been because maybe she's become desensitized to, you know, crime, and because she has been doing this content for many years. Obviously that's not an excuse, and I don't know if that's true, that's just an observation, that's just maybe what could have happened. It doesn't make it right, of course, but it was just a thought. Hello, it's me from the future again. This time I didn't forget to say something. This time, it is not my fault. Eleanor posted another response on her Instagram story. This time it's a written out one. I'm not gonna read it out because it's kind of long, and low-key, it's kind of just the same thing that she said in her, like, spoken one in the Instagram story that we just talked about. So I'm gonna put it on screen, and if you want to pause and read it, you're welcome to do so. But the summary is basically that they're gonna make sure to handle these stories with care and responsibility, and basically the same thing that she said before. She also says that she understands that, you know, true crime is a very serious matter, and that she's gonna make sure to reflect that in the live show. The only thing that's different about this response is that she mentions how all of the proceeds from the ticket sales are gonna go to non-profit organizations that support violence and abuse, which I think is wonderful, do not get me wrong at all. I think that's great. However, I'm a little bit suspicious that this wasn't the plan to begin with. Because if this was the plan to begin with, it would have been advertised, and she would have said it in her announcement. Guys, all of the ticket sales are going towards a charity. Cool, you should come because you're supporting charity. That would have been said, I think. And I think the reason why now all of the profits are going to charity, because a lot of people have said that this live show is being made out of greed, and it's very disrespectful. So now there's a lot of backtracking going on. You know, I think Eleanor's and her team are backtracking and saying, guys, wait, no, we are not being greedy because we're donating all the money. So, of course, I think this makes the situation better, but I do think this is just kind of because she got in trouble. I'm not sure if this would have happened if she didn't get called out and if everyone was completely okay with this. That's pretty much all I wanted to say on this topic. It's definitely pretty disappointing, especially because I've been a fan of her for quite a while now. But I am kind of interested to see what this show is actually going to look like, and if it's as bad and disrespectful as it's looking to be. Make sure to comment down below what you think about this topic. I'd love to hear your guys' opinions. My TikTok and Instagram are both on screen right now if you'd like to go follow them. I post sometimes on there, some fun stuff. It's also a quick way to know when I post a new video because I usually post it on my story. The links are also in the description. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing. That would be awesome. And I will see you when I see you. Bye bye.